how it might influence our life. So in today's presentation, I will discuss some reasons about the success and some potential risks for the users. And let's start from the advantages of the app. I think the post features and the modern social habits are the keys. People nowadays are spoiled by the short videos like Reels, which have reduced people's patience for reading lengthy content. And most of the posts on Threads are really short, which match people's reading preference perfectly. We can get into others' thoughts within a second. Also, since we're in digital era, there are so many topics in our daily life from the social media. So of course, we try to keep up with the latest news, fashions, or anything that might be popular among our peers from the internet. And so it really helps it a lot since the posts and the comments are basically transparent. But it still has some negative impacts on us. And before I talk about it, I want to ask a question. Do you know how much time you spend on Threads a day, Shannon? For me, I use it for about 2 hours a day, while I thought that I only use 30 minutes. So it's really terrible for us to scroll it unconsciously. We lose our precious time just for picking at strangers' lives. And what's worse, even though sometimes we notice it, we still can't stop it until we don't have time to study or even to sleep. And another biggest reason for us to use it is to seek the connections with others. However, there are some research is pointing out that the more time you spend on Threads, the more lonely you feel, since these interactions are not real, and over time you will be numb to the real life activities, which you should care about instead. So to sum up, although Threads is really interesting and kind of relaxing after our school, but it can actually make you feel worse if you don't manage the time well. So next time when you can't stop but keep scrolling on it, maybe try to think about if it's really worth it or not. And here's my reference. Thank you for listening.
Time?
3分35秒。
Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Elvis Chen, and I am a sophomore in English department. And today I want to talk about how internet can harm our people's mental health. And to be started with, I want to share a little story. My sister has been suffering from anxiety disorder and depression for a couple years, and my grandpa doesn't really seem to understand it. Last week he was in the living room talking about like the kids nowadays is so much mentally weaker than the kids back then. It get me wonder. So I did some research and I found some statistic. How do you? Oh, very good. So I found an article from the National Library of Medicine. It shows that 97% of the teenagers with mood disorder and the mental disorder have used social media and internet. And 70% of the individual with severe mental illness also use social media too. And consider internet might be one of the biggest differences between nowadays and back then. So I feel like internet might be one of the problem. And it leads us to another question: how does internet affect our mental health? I think comparison, especially social media comparison, is one of the biggest reason. Comparison is simply means that you compare yourself and judge yourself based on the posts that you see online, on the social media as well. And I also have this kind of problem myself too. And if you do that, naturally it will lower your self-esteem, and by time it might cause anxiety and depression. And besides comparison, addiction is also one of it. Internet addiction, I believe a lot of people like me also have it. It's just like you will spend hours of time on the internet non-stop, and it apparently causes some mental health problem. And especially, even worse is when we sometimes feel depressed or anxious, we are more likely to get back to the phone for comfort, and usually worse the situation, and create a vicious cycle that you get upset and you go back to it. And it's kind of hard to break. So here I provide 3 solutions: limit screen time and avoid constant comparison, and try to involve with real life activity. And to sum up, I want to say that internet is of course not bad, but if you don't use it mindfully enough, it might cause some harm to you mentally or physically. And if you also suffer from comparison, I want to tell you, please remember that do not compare your behind the scenes life to other people highlights reel. And this is reference, and this is my presentation. Thank you.
3分18。
Greeting everyone, my name is Oscar, and imagine a scenario when you have a critical exam and you don't know whether you will pass or not. You are very nervous, and finally the result comes well. And when this happens in your mind, what will you think? Will you think that thank God, or just think it's because of my skill or my luck? And let me ask a question: is God real? Or what should I say? Do you believe in God? The God I mean is not only in the Bible, but for every religion. And can you raise your hand if you believe in God? Well, looks like no one. We are all atheists. Anyways, after your prayer, has the prayer you made been fulfilled? And that's the key question of the God existence. And so is God real? First, we need to know what exactly is God. From the Genesis 1 verse 1, God is the creator of everything. He created the world, the earth, the heaven, and the universe. And from the Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, it's basically the same. So I can tell you that God is eternal and spiritual and almighty and immortal, and He has a lot of names. And I can also tell you that God is everything, and everything is God, like love, strength, and land. And why do we need God? For ancient people, they should know how the world is work, and they need to, in the order of God, to control the society and the country. And they can also let God to stand beside them, to conquer the fear and to stabilize the emotion. And for the core of believing God is to pray, wish, and hope, so that people can know they are communicating with God. But in this generation, do we really need God? And here's two charts. The left chart shows the atheistic, which means the people don't believe in God in each country. And you can see many developed countries have many atheists in their country. And the search I found say that they put religion in their culture, so they don't believe in God. And they pray, wish, and hope straight to the thing they want, not by God. And the chart in here, you can see that the percentage of atheists in the whole world is growing. The second. So, and the reason is that because people know too much about everything, so they can also know the lack of evidence about the God existence. William Kingdon Club once said, "Everything is wrong, always, everywhere, for anything. To believe is wrong, always, everywhere, for everyone. To believe in anything that's upon sufficient evidence." And in the end, this is what matters. Question about the God and the purpose of it. I'm not here to persuade you to believe in God or not, but I want you to think and to ascertain the necessity of God. Doubt is the beginning of wisdom, and I want to doubt the God and perceive the meaning behind everything. And here's the source, and thank you.
You want to break it? You want to break, or let's just go straight down? What do you want? You want to break? Okay. So should we come back after the break? Thank you. Yeah, it's okay. You can just leave it there. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, let's come back, everyone. So you ready? Okay.
Hello. Okay. Hello everyone. So my name is Angelica and today I'm going to talk about emotional eating. So this is my content and I'm not going to raise a question today because I'm going to share my story and experience from the past few weeks. And I'm actually feel stressed and anxious about the midterm test. So I started to crave for foods. And on Sunday, I had 2 large milk tea, 6 radish cake, and 6 dumplings, 1 soybean milk, a box of ice cream, and 1 pack of chips, and like a lot of bunch of foods. And so I started to search for on the internet if this is bulimia, but it actually is not. It's like emotional eating. And so I'm going to start my presentation with introducing what is emotional eating. Emotional eating is using food to make yourself feel better. We sometimes have the strong urge that we have to crave for foods when we feel stressed and emotionally unavailable. However, it may lead up to weight gaining and bulimia, like worse condition, 暴食症. So, how the emotional eating cycle works. Sometimes we turn to foods for comfort, or during celebration as a reward, and it is not necessarily a bad thing. However, when eating becomes your main way of dealing with emotions, like you go to the refrigerators to look for foods, every time you feel angry, sad, stressed, you may fall into an unhealthy cycle. In this cycle, your emotions and the issues that you have been faced are unresolved. Emotion hungers won't be solved just because you filled up with foods. Your problems won't be solved just because you filled up your stomach. And it might often get worse, and guilty and frustration will make your mental health ill. So we will be moving on to the subject of how do you get back on track. And first, you can keep a food diary, like record what you eat every time you feel frustrated. And tame your stress, have a stress management technique, and have a hunger reality check. What is hunger reality check? Is like physical hunger versus emotional hunger. And physical hunger is like it can wait, but emotionally hunger can't wait, and you have to fill up your stomach instantly. And you can get support by your friends or families or even doctors. And fight the boredom. And snack healthy. I think this is useful because if you really have the urge to eat between meals, you can snack healthy. So to wrap things up, emotional eating is something we face from time to time, but when it becomes the main way to cope with your emotions, it becomes a problem. The key is to understand our feelings before we reach for it. And it is not to fight for foods, but understand our feelings. And thank you for listening, and I hope you will take some of those steps I mentioned the next time you feel like craving. Thank you. And this is my website.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sophia, and today I would like to talk about a question that intrigued me for a long time. If piracy is illegal, why do people keep doing it? Now, imagine you want to watch some series. You open a streaming app and it is not here. You open another and another, until you find that to watch everything you need to pay for 4 different subscriptions. Then you find a solution. Please raise your hand if you are familiar with these websites. Okay, thank you. Then at this point, you can actually guess why piracy exists. So, today I want to explain why people keep pirating even though it's illegal, and why this issue has more to do with convenience and accessibility than with morality. Okay, I will start explaining why people pirate. First of all, governments worldwide has passed strict copyright laws that made it illegal to copy or distribute content without permission. So now I know what you're thinking. So it's not piracy, just thief. Actually, people don't pirate because they want to steal. They pirate because the legal options stop being convenient.